So guys, it's episode 50. We all know what we're doing today. Welcome back everyone to Create Dinosaurs, where we are about to start what I think is going to be probably the biggest project I will ever do on this world. We all know what it's going to be. We all know the dinosaur. Literally everyone has been requesting it in my comments ever since the mention of episode 50 and stuff, because it's a milestone. We're starting the T-Rex enclosure. But here's the thing, guys. So we've done several enclosures on this world so far. Obviously, we started out with like the Brachiosaurus area here, and we put the Parasaurolophus over here. We've done things like the Mosasaurus Lagoon over here, which was absolutely amazing to work on at the time. We did our current largest project in the form of the aviary, and then we did what is probably my favorite enclosure in terms of just detail and how it looks with the Therizinosaurus. But when it comes to the T-Rex, for episode 50, that milestone episode, I want to top it all. We're not going to be taking shortcuts. We're not going to be doing stuff simple. It's not going to be just random little texturing with a bunch of walls around just to make a shape and chuck a dinosaur in. I want every single block of this enclosure to be chosen specifically. I want it to be the most realistic in terms of something you may actually see in a theme park if somehow you brought dinosaurs back to life. And I want this to be the best looking enclosure that I have done so far. So with all of that said, what are we actually doing for an enclosure? Well, here's the thing. So I've had a lot of time to think about this. Of course, when I started Create Dinosaurs, I knew that there was one dinosaur I would not be able to avoid getting. Everyone loves the T-Rex. Everyone's seen Jurassic Park. Everyone wants to see a T-Rex in the world. There's a raccoon here. Oh my gosh, there's loads of raccoons. And this one's eaten someone. Where did you get trousers? But because of the fact that, of course, I knew that this enclosure would come along eventually, I have had a lot of time to think about it. And, you know, my ideas have changed. Originally, I would have gone with something like the Brachiosaurus enclosure, probably, with a bunch of cliffs around the outside. Then I was like, well, maybe a forest? I even considered giving it its own massive dome at some point, until I decided a T-Rex cannot fly, and that is unnecessary. I really hope they can't fly. And then, of course, when we started work on the train system, it gave me a whole new set of ideas for the T-Rex enclosure. There is way too many possibilities here. But I think I've decided on something which I like, finally. And it's going to be a bit difficult to explain, but basically, I've become a very big fan of another fossils and archaeology YouTuber called Lorikeet, and Lorikeet does insane enclosures. They're so much better than mine. But something I have noticed with a lot of Lorikeet's enclosures is they tend to be sunk into the ground a bit, but also there's a lot of detail on the cliffs around the edges, and he seems to be quite a big fan of putting paths around the entire enclosure as well, which I guess like I've kind of done in some places. But I mean, I've also avoided it a lot of the time. I mean, look at the Spinosaurus enclosure. You have one path that can view it and a viewing center. Other than that, it's just completely inaccessible. I'm not redoing that take because I have forgotten what sentence I said. And I think I want to do something similar. I want to take an enclosure and sink it down into the ground, whilst also taking elements like the Therizinosaurus enclosure, where we have a very detailed forest, but also inside of it, we've got a really cool viewing area, which is camouflaged with the rest of the enclosure. However, unlike the Therizinosaurus, rather than putting our guests in the middle of the enclosure, I think I want the guests to be able to walk anywhere around the enclosure, like all the way around 360 degrees, but have that walkway embedded into the cliffs, similar to the Brachiosaurus enclosure here. Like, I do mean actually in the cliff and stuff, like literally just carve out a pathway here and put a window. But also, the shape of this enclosure has probably been what I have put the most thought into overall. And I think rather than just like, you know, drawing a random scribble on the ground or just marking out a random shape with some pathways like we've done before, this enclosure is going to be made up of 3 circles, probably similar in size to the innovation center that we've got here. I'm thinking about 3 chunks. It's going to be made up of 3 circles like that, sort of connected and carved out of the ground in a bit of a triangle pattern. So like one there, there, and there. That's not the actual location. And I'm thinking the place where I would actually like to put it is maybe over here. Now, at first, that may seem like a weird decision. Because, of course, you know, the rest of the park is here. We've got the Therizinosaurus, the Brachiosaurus, the Spinosaurus is just over there and everything. Literally everything we've got is connected around this area. And the most logical place to do an expansion is, well, out this way. But the thing is, I think for this T-Rex enclosure to be as impressive as I want, it kind of needs to be on its own. It can't be surrounded by other enclosures. It has to be its own thing, marked in its own area, out of the way of everything else, and literally your only reason to travel there is just to see it. Is all of that making sense? I hope it is. And with all of that stated, how are we gonna even get to work on this? Well, of course, as I said, I want 3 holes dug into the ground, kind of like that and everything, just dug straight down and connected in the middle. But the thing is, because these holes are circular, I have given myself probably the worst job in the world, because I can't just get a square miner and dig it out. I mean, I could. That would work, actually. But it would be slow, it would be painful, and it would mean that I would have to do a whole lot of correction around the edges. Instead, I think we have a couple options here, and neither of them are good. Let's say you have a 5x5 area like this that you want to dig out. Now, of course, you could go in and just manually dig all of this out, which is fine if you've got a tiny circle, or, you know, any other shape, like maybe the tar farm, which is over here. That was dug out manually. But when we're talking about 3 circles, which are each 3 chunks wide, which is 48 blocks for reference, that is a very big area. I do not want to dig something like that out by hand. So, of course, we turn to our next best option, which is the Create mod. But the thing is, the Create mod, whilst it is brilliant at digging out holes, I mean, this thing has given us plenty of tunnels in the world and loads of resources, of which I still have not used up. There's so much in here. The Create mod is kind of only good at digging holes horizontally. When it comes to digging them vertically, I would rather set my entire park on fire and start again from scratch. Because you only have 2 options with Create mod. Either you take a bunch of drills and cover the entire area which you're digging out, just like that, which once again, each one of these circles is 48 blocks wide. You either take a bunch of drills like that and layer them on top and lower them all down at once to dig out every layer one by one, or you go with the other method where you get a line like this, or who knows, maybe even do a cross if you've got enough resources, and you spin this massive thing in a circle and you dig out each layer one by one. But the issue with this design is you have to clear out every single layer before you can move the drill down by 1 block, and that is an incredibly slow and tedious process. Not to mention the fact that it also requires some very intricate timing, which can break the entire machine if done wrong. So basically, your 2 options are either a massive investment in materials, which is potentially more than I actually even have available to me in this world, or one of the most intricate designs which takes an absolute eternity to work. And I think in order to make a decision on this, I've just got to turn to maths. So, of course, the actual circle which we want to dig out is 48 blocks wide. Now, the thing is, that's kind of good, but then also, this isn't accounting for the fact that I need room for pathways around the edge. So, honestly, I should probably increase this by 8 blocks on each side, which is going to bring it to 64. And thanks to this website doing the maths for me, it is 50 stacks of drills. So it would, of course, be 50 stacks of iron ingots, not to mention the fact that there's 4 andesite alloy here because, of course, you also need 1 for the casing. So that is 4 per thing times 2 stacks, and that is 64 times by, let's just round it up to 51 stacks of blocks, so that is 26,000 blocks of andesite. And given the fact that each chest is 27, that would be 15 chests of andesite. Oh my gosh. I mean, I am saying that, but like, that is probably less than what I have used in the entire series. The number of times I have emptied out this chest. This chest alone has supplied the majority of the builds in this world, with literally every single thing, I think, using it, including the aviary. Now, the aviary probably went through about 5 of these chests, so, I mean, it is possible. I think our biggest concern might actually be the iron supply which we would need, which, how much of this do I have? I definitely don't have enough. Actually, given the fact that each one of these would fill up 1 row, so that would be 3 chests. Okay, never mind. Just checking, in my train track farm that is over here, this is producing a bunch of iron nuggets itself, and as we can see, it's definitely overfilling. How many train tracks have we got, out of curiosity? We have 4 stacks and 8. Now, do I need trains anytime soon? No. Does that mean I could potentially hijack our train track farm in order to turn it into an iron farm temporarily? I think yes. Or hang on a second, I have another idea. The glass farm, which currently resides over here underneath the Spinosaurus viewing gallery, is probably our biggest farm yet. This thing has filled up around 20 chests worth of glass, and it did that in only a short period of time. Now, of course, that was done with the process of milling stuff into gravel and then crushing the gravel into sand and then blasting it. So correct me if I am wrong, but could this not quickly be changed into just simply crushing stuff into gravel and then washing all of that gravel into iron? And let's see, we've got gravel being chucked out. Okay, I need to see if you get washed in time. I really need to see if it happens. It does. Okay, and that means if gravel gets washed in time, then of course we're creating iron just like that. And of course we do have a very annoying byproduct of flint, which is going to come along with this. But if we can mass produce iron, I'm not too bothered. I am going to need to empty out this entire chest though. As for all of the andesite which we're going to need to collect, now obviously I could go and make another andesite farm, or I could make the current one more efficient. But I think for now, really, well, the solution is I've already got a massive supply of andesite, really. Like, there's probably a whole bunch of it still left in these barrels here. There we go, there's a stack. And my current andesite farm is not actually that inefficient. Like, it fills up enough. So I think, really, andesite is not that much of a concern. And as for the wood that we're going to need, I'm just probably gonna make a tree farm. And for now, I'm just gonna go and dig through all of my chests and find every bit of andesite I've got, which is turning out to be quite a lot. Oh my gosh, there really is loads here. There we go. So I've gone and dug through all of my chests, and look at that. We've already got like 1.5 double chests out of all of them. We're part of the way there. It's not gonna take that long, is it? And I think there's a couple more things which I still want to do this episode and stuff, because we are not going to be able to dig this hole out today, by the way. I hope you don't think that we're doing that. This episode is like preparation to dig out the hole. But as I mentioned, one of the other things which we're going to need is a massive supply of logs, which, I mean, I've probably got a decent supply just around the world. However, of course, it would be nice to go and put all of these in a centralized place. So what I am going to need is a saw, which I have one upstairs. We're just gonna take that back. I'm going to need a mechanical bearing, which I know that I did have one somewhere, but I don't know if I still have it. Let's see, how do you make it? Oh, it's easy. And we're going to need one of these deployers, which I'm just gonna take off the tunnel bore because I do not need it, really. Look, dude, I mean, I haven't even finished emptying out all of the stuff that's currently in the tunnel bore. You think I'm gonna use this again anytime soon? No. And then what we're going to do, we're gonna go and make a nice little farm for this. So can I just, no, I am going to, there's a drop there. Okay, we're just gonna cover that up. All right, so we'll put a water wheel here. This is definitely not a new design. I have made several of these on here, but we just do that. I need to go and get my mechanical bearing, which I forgot to craft, and that can go right there. And because we're going to need a large supply of logs from this, I am going to actually make it with barrel, but then I think I need to put the deployer here. Okay, I guess it can face that way. Oh no, that's actually the way it needs to face. And then the mechanical saw just there, like that. And now I need to go and find the saplings that tree is up there, like these ones. What are they? Because the thing is, I know that they drop pine logs, but they're definitely not a pine tree. Oh, it's this one, the one with the name I can't pronounce. But then we can go and glue all of this together like that, and I'm going to put the filter for the trees there, and let's just put the sapling in there. And then if I'm correct and we send this spinning, right, okay, so I need to try and work out where this thing actually covers. And then if I go and put a bunch of dirt here, hopefully it's placing the saplings down. It is, yes, it's working. Okay, and I think we have actually missed it on the corners here, so I think I just need to extend these bits. And hopefully if a tree does grow there, then it can actually be cut down by the saw. There we go. So we've got a whole ring of saplings here. Now, do I have any bone meal to see if this is going to work immediately? Hopefully, I've got just a little bit. Okay, 25. I can work with that. Because if I just go and grow one of these Sure, you do you. But there we go, it broke the tree and it actually placed it down. So now, if I go and find a barrel, there we go, you see what I mean? It's got so many logs. That's why I wanted to go with this tree, whatever it's called, the Archeology. Now, I don't know why the bone meal always ends up growing a different tree or something. I don't know if it's actually like, no, it is just growing a tree weirdly. But hopefully, this is just going to continue going around, because of course, I have just used a bunch of bone meal, but it doesn't need bone meal. Of course, these trees will just grow in their own time. So hopefully, I can just kind of like leave this and they'll all grow and it'll get a bunch of logs, and then I can just come over here occasionally and empty it all out. So with the tree farm done and all of our farms modified, there's one more thing which I need to do. Because of course, right in here is what we are all waiting for. Is it actually this chest? I don't think it's this chest. Is it one in here? Have I got it in here? Is it in there? No, it's not in there. What about that one? No, not in there either. That's a Parasaurolophus and Diplodocus. Is it somewhere? I know that I have one of these. Where is it? I do not see it. Why do I not see it? Surely one of these is it. Oh, there we go. It's that one. The one that kind of... Okay, it's very round. But as always, we're going to be a little bit prepared and we're going to make an egg really early. This thing isn't going to hatch for a while. We've got quite a lot of enclosure to build. But I tend to find that the biggest motivation is kind of just having the egg sat there waiting to hatch. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait here for like 10 minutes for this to cultivate. And I will see you when we have our Tyrannosaurus. Oh my gosh! I had the game minimized. I didn't know that that was a thing. I knew the cultivations could just spawn a random mob. I did not expect that one. Okay, take two. Let's go and put it in there. Okay, I was stood in the corner this time because I didn't want to get blown up again, and I think it's done. We have a T-Rex egg just ready to hatch. Now, as for when it will actually hatch, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see when the enclosure's finished and stuff. But for now, thank you for watching, and hopefully you have enjoyed. And I hope you're all excited. I'm determined to make this my favorite enclosure. It's probably going to take a long time, but I mean, hey, that would not be the first time I have spent like a month on a single thing. And as for what I'm going to do right now with our one and only Tyrannosaurus egg, I'm going to go AFK at a bunch of farm. 15 chests worth of iron nuggets. What a brilliant thing to have to try and get. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon.